In lesson 3.6, we are going to continue to compare fractions. With your whiteboard marker, and eraser, we're going to do a warm-up. Please let's begin with number 1, and then we'll call this number 2, we'll call this number 3. So number your whiteboard 1, 2, and 3. Number 1 says, name 2 multiples of 7. Then secondly, what are the factors of 7? So remember, if we write down numbers multiplied together, this is what factors are. Go ahead and write down 2 multiples of 7 and 2 factors of 7. If I were to look across my multiplication chart on 7, my first multiple of 7 is 7, and 14, 21, 28, and you could keep going. The 2 factors of 7 are 1 times 7. Do you remember these words, prime and composite? Do you remember what a number is called if it has exactly 2 factors, 1 and itself? This is called prime. So this is a prime number, and its 2 factors are 1 and 7. Now, next to number 2, name 2 multiples of 8. They don't have to be in a row. And then, what are the factors of 8? I'll give you a little clue. There are 2 pairs of factors for 8. Write down 2 multiples of 8 and the factors of 8. Well, I could take 8 times 3, which would be 24. 8 times 4 would be 32. If you look across your 8s on a multiplication chart, anything along that line is a multiple of 8. What are the factors of 8? 1 times 8 and 2 times 4. So if I were going to write those in a list, in numerical order, it'd be 1, 2, 4, and 8. Is 8 a multiple of those numbers? Yes, it is. Because 8 is here and 8 is here. Go ahead and erase your whiteboard. Let's do one more warm-up problem. Here I want you to find equivalent fractions. Do you remember how when we were finding equivalent fractions in our last lesson, whatever we multiplied the top by, we multiplied the bottom by. So we multiplied the numerator and denominator by the same number. So what I want you to do is to find 2 equivalent fractions for each. Here's an example. Do not use this one, but I could multiply the top and the bottom, the numerator and the denominator by 2. So 1 times 2 is 2, and 5 times 2 is 10. Would you please find 2 equivalent fractions for 1/5 and write them on your whiteboard? Pause the video as needed. I could take it times 2. The numerator times 2 is 4. The denominator times 2 is 6. I could then multiply by 3. 2 times 3 is 6, and 3 times 3 is 9. I could take it times 10. 2 times 10, and 3 times 10 would be 20 30ths. All right, go ahead and wipe off your whiteboard. We're going to be working in our journal today, and the journal page we're going to be working on is page 83. This top part right here, I will put on each screen, although you'll only see it once at the top of your page. Comparing fractions. Quinn, Nina, Diego, Paula, and Kiana were given 4 same-size burritos to share. Quinn and Nina shared one burrito. Quinn ate 1/4 of a burrito, and Nina ate 2/4. Diego, Paula, and Kiana each ate part of the other burritos. Diego ate 2/3 of one burrito, Paula ate 2/5 of another burrito, and Kiana ate 5/6 of a third burrito. Number 1 asks us this: who ate more, Diego or Paula? Or did they eat the same amount, and how do you know? First thing I'm going to do is put D for Diego and P for Paula. Diego ate 2/3. So I'm going to write 2/3. And Paula ate 2/5. Now, since the numerator is the same, it makes it a little bit easier to compare. 2 out of 3 pieces out of a burrito would be more than 2 out of 5 pieces. And if you actually wanted to draw a little burrito, think about it. Being in thirds versus fifths, he ate 2/3 versus 2/5. If you were really hungry, you'd want that burrito only divided into thirds if you could only eat 2 pieces. So I know that Diego, go ahead, there's a line here. In your math journal, please write down, this is on page 83. Diego, how do I know that? Well, I know that fifths are smaller than thirds. Now you have a line down here that says write a number model using the symbols greater than, equal, or less than to record your comparisons. So let's go ahead and write down Diego's 2/3. I'm going to write mine up above. You write yours down on your line though. 2/3 is greater than 2/5. Again, think if you were really hungry and you were at Chipotle, but you couldn't eat a full burrito, I'd sure want to eat 2 out of 3 pieces than 2 out of 5 if I were hungry. Now, looking at number 2, I still included the same information, so I could refer to it up here. Yours is at the top of journal page 83. Who ate more, Diego or Kiana, or did they eat the same amount? Again, I'm going to put D for Diego, K for Kiana. Remember, Diego ate 2/3. Kiana ate 5/6. Now the denominators are different and the numerators are different. So how would I know who ate more? Actually, what I could do is a couple of things. I could find an equivalent fraction that has the same denominator, so it makes it easier to compare. If I multiply the bottom by 2, I multiply the top, the numerator, by 2. Now it makes it easier to compare 4/6 versus 2/6. Or I could think of a number line. If I were to divide this into 6 equal parts for Kiana, (5/6) would be about here. Now imagine that same line was in thirds. So imagine thirds, so maybe 1/3, 2/3. Well, 2/3 would be about here. So 5/6 actually is closer to 1 if you were to think of it as a number line. So if we go back to our comparisons, who has more? Kiana. So on your line right here, you're going to go ahead and write Kiana. Now, how do I know that? Well, I could say that 2/3 is farther away from one whole, for the whole number 1, then 5, 6. Or, if you wanted to, you could show that you found an equivalent fraction, and that 4, 6 is less than 5, 6. Now we're going to use, we're going to go ahead and use a number model, and the symbols greater than, equal, or less than. So you have a line down here. You're going to go ahead and write in that 2/3 is less than 5, 6. Or you could write 5, 6 is greater than 2/3. Either way is correct. Lastly, number 3. Who ate more, Diego or Quinn, or did they eat the same amount? Well, here's Diego. Here is Quinn. I'm going to put Q for Quinn, D for Diego. Quinn ate 1/4. Diego ate 2/3. Now I can show a number line. So when it says, how do you know? Here's one way. As long as the number lines are the same length, you can say this is Quinn and this is Diego. Divide this into 4 equal sections. And Quinn would be right here at 1/4. Diego is in thirds. 1. Here would be 2/3, not 1/3. So 2/3 would be here. So you could show a comparison like that. So obviously, which one is more, 1/4 or 2/3? Well, 2/3 is, so that means Diego ate more. Here's another way to show this. Rewrite this. 1/4. Watch what I can do. I can come up with a denominator that is the same. Here I multiplied by 3. Here I multiplied by 3. Here I multiplied by 4 to get 12. Here I'll multiply by 4. So when they have the same denominator, it makes it a whole lot easier to compare. But we know that Diego ate more. And how do you know? Maybe you want to draw a number line to show that 2/3 is greater than 1/4. I'm going to write a number model to show the comparison that 2/3 is more than 1/4 or greater than. You also could write it 1/4 is less than 2/3. You're going to go ahead and go back into Schoology and see what else you need to do to complete lesson 3-6, comparing fractions.